What's going on, everybody? Okay, so I kind of wanted to go over some more into a little bit, or at least an extra thought from last week's when I was talking about, what is love and speaking the language and what does that look like. And I didn't say a lot of things, obviously, because I could go on for hours about a single thought. But so I didn't even get to go into everything last week, but I want to bring in just another idea of moving it just from when I was talking about even just a simple concept of the five love languages of speaking to your other friend. I know some people like to think that food is a love language as well. And I know plenty of those people who've even mentioned that. They're like, man, if you just bring me food or make me a whatever kind of, I don't know, something, they're like, man, that's my love language. And so I'm like, all right, cool. You like acts of service. Gotcha. And in the form of food. So so there's different ways of that different people are gonna respond to things. And I wanted to go more than just on that aspect of how are we working with other people and loving them and learning to love them, especially in the way that they can understand. So again, all as human, we're like 99.9 or not 99.5% the same as overall, like from head to toe, what we're like. It's just those fine tuning little different characteristics of hair color, eye color, you know, size, height, all that fun stuff. That's a little bit different. And obviously our personalities, and what it is that makes us us. So for the vast majority, well over 9 out of 10 times we are the same and what we're wanting from other people, time, attention, affection, all these very simple human characteristics and things. So I wanted to turn that concept from how are we with other people and loving them the way we're told to love them, because to command, purpose has been told to love, honor, worship God. And then we're told that's all of our purposes. And then the greatest commandments are love, honor, respect God, and then, love your neighbors yourself. Love God, love others. Very simple. Concept is simple. Obviously, the actions we take are a lot harder. And again, when it goes back into actions, what do we do on a daily basis? Because love is, again, it's a verb. It's an action. It is not a noun where we just get to, we've turned it into that in this world, especially here in the West through all this social media and technology. And it's like, oh, you have to feel love. You have to feel all this. All this has to line up and all that has to be perfect. And you guys have to just have all this chemistry that blah, blah, blah. And it's not how it really is. So when I'm thinking about this on an even higher level with God, I'm thinking of it and looking at it in this sense of how does He take and want to receive love from us? It's and again, He's like He's all those things. So how are we loving God? Are we loving Him in the way that He actually wants to be loved, or the way that we think about it? Because I know I've done this several times. I still fall into it time and time. Sometimes here and there, I'll fall into it because I'm like, oh man, I'm doing it in that way. I'm doing the way I think, not the way that maybe that he would probably want it. So for like, I know example of mine has been worship. If I'm just sit there and I'm just listening to like worship songs, I'll sit there and I'll turn it on. And sometimes I can actually sit there and I'm like, just being in worship, just like spending that time with him for a little bit. And then sometimes I just turn it on, like maybe for background sound, or I just tell myself, well, I have worship music on, so I'm spending time with him. But it's not, I'm not actually doing that because what am I doing in that moment? I'm not actually trying to spend that time with him. I'm just having nice, good music on in the background and telling myself, oh, I'm actually doing something, and I'm really not. And it's like you're being fake in what you're doing. So it's like, ooh, okay, I see that. I'm doing that. Let me fix that. And again, there's different forms of that, and for each person, I just know that that's something for me that I've noticed and I've been working on. And again, but it kind of goes back into we to love in the proper way, to do the right thing, to be righteous, to do all these, biblical words of, righteousness, discipline, of loving your neighbor, loving yourself, loving God, all these different ideas, they circle back, and it's not easy to do the thing. It's not easy to wake up at 4 in the morning. I don't like doing it, but I do it because then I get to have extra specific time to spend with God, because then I get to go to the gym and I get to take care of myself. I get to make sure I have plenty of time to eat and cook good food and all that stuff. So it's going back to this idea of consistency and discipline. And was it Hippocrates? Hippocrates? some Hippocrates or Hippocrates, however you pronounce it, I don't know. He said he's got a good quote that goes like, "Everyone wants to heal until medicine shows up in the form of discipline," which is a really cool quote, and I like that one just because, loving people is a discipline in itself because to love is to do the right thing. It didn't say that you don't have to be feeling in the best place, in the best mood to even like that person. Again, we are meant to love our neighbor, which is both our friend and our enemy. I don't just look at someone that I consider an enemy and be like, you know what, I'm just so happy to see you and I want the best for you. My flesh does not want that. My spirit does, and I'm trying to push more to the spiritual side. But guess what? As the fleshly beings we are, that I am at times still, I'm like, you're what I consider an enemy, and I want other things to happen to you, not good. So, areas that we're always growing in. But anyways, when I'm thinking about that kind of stuff, it all goes back to I do what I don't want to do because it's the right thing to do. So when I think of it, what was it? What's his name? I just blanked out on his name. Uh, the boxer. He says, discipline is doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you love it. Mike Tyson. There we go. And I love that quote because it's saying you do the thing, you do the right thing, and you keep doing it, and you act like you love it, even though you hate it. Because again, that's the spirit and the flesh that are fighting and colliding against each other. So I'm always thinking of doing the right thing, being the godly person, loving your neighbor. That's all on the spiritual side. And our flesh gets in there, and that's whenever it makes things, it's like, yeah, but see, they said that thing, or they believe that way, or they don't have the same political beliefs, or, I saw them do that thing one time, so I don't actually think that they're all there, or whatever the case is. They're always trying to find an excuse or a reason to not do the right thing. And that's discipline. That's going back so simply to the concept of discipline. It's doing the hard thing, even though you don't want to do it. So even though, and again, it goes back to that concept of heart posture is where's your heart posture? Well, it's wanting to do the right thing. But just because I'm not all happy about it doesn't mean that that's wrong. It just means I'm fighting against my flesh to do the right thing. So I've had that thought for a little while in different conversations I've had with people on how they think that again, a lot of people I talk to are on the feeling side of things, and I'm like, I know very explicitly we're told not to listen to our feelings. We hear what they have to say and they tell us some stuff, but we don't act on our feelings. We act on what the Bible says. Anyways, but that all goes back to the idea of discipline. So if you don't discipline yourself, your body, your mind, how are you going to discipline your soul? You're not going to be able to do it. It doesn't work. You don't just get to sit there and be 300 pounds overweight, eating all the crap in the world, sleeping in, not doing anything, and being productive with your life, not doing anything to take care of yourself, and expect to have some strong, solid, unbreakable, soul and relationship with God. And be like, oh, I can do everything in that sense. I won't do anything for my flesh and body that I can control, but I can do it in all these other areas. I don't see it. I do not see it, and I haven't seen it. Because again, we're always going to fall short, of course. But again, I believe in taking care of your temple, but that's a whole nother thing. But again, that goes back to even love, loving yourself. You're going to take care of the temple that God gave us. It's the only one you have. It's the only way you're going to live is in this body right now. So until the end, you're out. But right now, you're living in this temple, and you got to take care of it. So I wanted to just go, and I'm not going into anything crazy, but we think of this concept of love as such a bland, generalistic word. But when you go back into the original Greek language, there's four different meanings and four different types of love, if you will. And this is just a very basic overview. I'm not going into all the stuff because I don't even know all the stuff. I'm learning it and I'm understanding it more. But just a very basic idea is a lot of people have heard of agape, and pretty sure I'm saying whether I'm saying these words right, I don't know. But anyways, agape is known. Again, this is a very basic Googled uh, idea format. This isn't like years of research on knowing the languages and all this stuff, but very basically is it's the agape is the type of love that's used with God, showing that his just overbearing love, his humility, his love for humanity and what he does for us, and that's never ending. So It's often described as unconditional, selfless, or sacrificial. Agape represents the highest form of love, a conscious choice to love regardless of circumstances or reciprocity. So very simply, it's saying just because, you're doing the right thing, which is loving, even though you might not be feeling it, even though you're probably not feeling it, even though you might have gotten hurt and betrayed like Judas did to Jesus, he still loved him, even though he knew he was about to be turned on. So it's again going back all the way to these actions. So that is like the selfless divine love, as they kind of say it. There's eros, which is a romantic, passionate love between a couple, if you will. Filii, it's like friendship and brotherly love. So it's like, when I say I love my brother, I love my friends, I love my whatever the case is, that's a type of love that's theirs. Again, we just use one word, love, the overview. And again, there's storge, and that's a familial love, like your family. You know your family, you know your environment, things like that. So going back, we use this one little four-letter word that has lost its meaning in today's society, and we don't even know what it means because we think, oh, it's this you, uh, 50 Shades of Grey. It's this The Notebook. It's the some kind of fairy tale ending that everything works out and everything's perfect, and you don't have to work for a relationship and love and all this stuff. And that's what we've been fed for so long in this country, pretty much forever since we decided to take the Bible out of school and stuff. But anyways, how are we loving each other in all these different ways, like I talked about a lot last week? And then how are we loving God? Are we spending that quality time with Him? Are we actually talking with Him? Are we actually making it a relationship? Which is why I got this shirt. I'm like, it's not a religion, it's a relationship. Okay, so it's quality time. It's what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Why are we spending that time? It's asking what he wants to do. And this has been an interesting thing I heard, about 4 or 5 months ago, was inviting God into situations. So now every time I go into a new situation, I invite him in. I'm like, Dad, come join me. While I read this book, come hang out with me. While I sit down and watch TV, come watch the movie with me. While I'm on this drive, come look, come do some sightseeing with me. It's inviting him into everything, work, school, reading, studying, everything. It's like, come be with me. I'm intentionally inviting you in. And I see that as being a much more intimate and intentional way of saying, I want you to come and be with me in this journey, in this time. And again, that goes back to him. It goes back to how we spend it with other people. How do other people understand and accept love? Because apparently not everyone speaks the same language, and you got to find that out. So, anyways, I was actually hoping to have had this a lot shorter, but my mind always runs rampant and goes all over the place. So I just want to bring that idea to everyone on, you know, more in depth on what does this love mean and what are we doing with it. It is very much a discipline. You have to force yourself to do the right thing because that's your spirit saying, no, 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 this is what's right. We're gonna do this. And your flesh is like, yeah, but I don't want to do that because of all the physical, fleshly reasons. And it's like, yeah, I don't care. Spirit is in control, not the flesh. And so it's that kind of battle. And I think that's with everything that we're doing. I've already had like several conversations today, much less in this past week, on that very concept of your life is very much your soul is ground zero for being in this battle of your flesh and the spirit. Your body, your spirit, the soul, it knows what's right and it wants to do that, and you're fighting against your flesh. That's what Romans 7:15, I think it was, says, is that you want to do the right thing, but you're always doing what you hate to do. And that's our everyday battle, fighting the flesh, carrying our cross, doing what's right and honorable. Anyways, okay, there's that. That's enough. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right, I love you guys. Hope I was able to help out and hopefully give a little bit of insight or way for you guys to think about things. I don't know. It's helped me, and that's kind of where my thought process is. All right, love you guys.